Hi folks, welcome back to the Java tutorial by D Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the JVM and hope you liked our previous video. Today we are going to discuss about the JVM, which is a major part and which makes Java as an independent platform independent language. So if you know that the origin of the Java language, it was created. That language was created for a networking purpose, because when Java introduced that time, the major issue was to transfer the information from one source to the another source. So Java target that that problem, and they introduce a bytecode, and the main basic motto to the transfer files from one destination to the second destination through the network. That's why Java introduced a class file. So we'll discuss today the major part of the Java language, which is a JVM. Most of us knows it as a Java virtual machine. If you see the Java language, it contains mainly four parts. One is a Java programming language. Second is a Java API. Third is a Java class file. Fourth one is a JVM. Today we will discuss about the JVM. What is a JVM? Java Virtual Machine. I will explain about the when we run our Java program and when we compile our Java program, what exactly happens in the system. So suppose you have a Java file which is a a.java. What will happen when the Java we will compile the Java file? That time this file will convert into a this Java file is converted into a dot class file. Dot class file, and this dot class file we can move to the locally or through a network to the runnable system, where this Java dot class file is given to the JVM. And this JVM converts that dot class file into that particular machine language according to the operating system which we host on our system. So today this is the major part which makes a Java as an independent language. Today we will discuss about what exactly happens in a JVM and what are the main parts of the JVM.
Just one question, sir.
Yes.
So after compiling Java file, I heard like it is getting converted into the bytecode and then right.
In the introduction, I told that the Java is mainly designed for a networking purpose language, because when we transfer data through networks, we transfer it in at least means in a byte form. So when we convert the when we compile our Java file, it will convert into the dot class files. It is nothing but a byte files. So and at the JVM, that byte file will convert into the machine language. I will explain about what exactly happening in JVM, how it converts that byte files into the machine language. Mainly there are in JVM there is one class loader and the execution engine. When we will compile and that class file will convert, and that class file we will give to the class loader. That class loader converts that file into the when that class file give as input to the class loader. There are mainly two types of class loader. One is user defined class loader, and second one is a bootstrap. I will explain about the user defined class loader and bootstrap loader next in this session. This after the class loader, it gives to the execution engine, and then execution engine calls, native calls, also context to the operating system. Okay. Now, when our class file comes to the class loader, a class loader calls the import all the necessary files. Here mainly four processes, means three processes are doing, means linking, loading, and initialization. When our class file comes to the class loader will do these three main things. One is linking, loading, and initialization. What happens in linking? When we have class load, we have .class file, and we need some classes from Java APIs, and also some necessary classes. For that classes, we will import the classes through this initialization process, this linking process. It will check we are importing the correct files, and whatever the necessary files we need, that will be imported in a linking purpose. Loading purpose, what will happens in loading purpose? If suppose you have a class which depends on another class, that file is also loaded by a user defined class loader. I will explain what is user class defined loader later in this session. Initialization. In initialization, what happens? Suppose you have some global, means class level variable and instance variable. The value to the proper value to that variable will be assigned into initialization phase. Okay. Now I will explain about the
पॉज नाही होत काय
So we will discuss about the what exactly happening when class file moves from class loader to the execution engine. I will explain the means or the runtime areas where our class files get processed. So when from class loader to execution engine, we have some runtime areas which are method area, stack, heap, PC register, and native APIs. Native API. So I will explain about the what is the method area, native method area, stack, heap, and PC register. So, there means when our class file loads, this method area is used to store the class level data, like class means class variables, statics variables, and some if it is a serializable class, the meta information will be stored into the method area. Means method area is used to store the class data. What is heap area? Heap area is used to store the class objects. Whenever in our application we create a new objects, it will be stored into the heap area. The stack area, stack is used for when in execution, when you are calling the methods, and if you suppose if you have many threads, that for every threads we will create a new stack area. Suppose in your application you have thread 1, thread 2. For each thread we will call a separate stack area. In stack area we will call the methods hierarchy, and method level local data also stored into the stack. Suppose for this purpose, if you run the second thread, it will create another stack, and in that stack whatever methods call for that particular thread, it will be stored into that respective stack. And suppose in our thread you called some native methods. For that purpose, it will create a separate thread, and here will be that compiler will store the native methods. Then PC register. In JVM we don't have a memory to store the data. For that purpose, PC register is used to store the next instruction which we are going to execute. That will be stored into the PC registers. Native methods calls. So in your application, sometimes you need to do the some native calls. Means suppose you are calling to the hard disk, you are calling to the operating system. That calls are called by the native APIs. Native APIs are not written into the Java. It is written in some other language. For that also we will create a separate stack. Okay. So next part I will explain what happens in execution engines. Mainly there are three types of execution. Execution engine. One is execution engine. What happens in execution engine? Execution engine, that byte class files which is given by the class loader, it will be the interpret into the machine language. Sometimes Java, JVM we call as a Java interpreter also. There are three types of interpretation. One is a simple one. In that, one at a time. So in that, every byte is converted into the machine code by one. This is the simple approach where we are converting the byte code into the machine language. Second one is CIT, just in compile. In this approach, what happens when our application has the same methods? We are calling some particular method again and again after some particular intervals. In that case, the JVM, when that first time when we call that method will be converted into the machine code, and that code is stored into the some address. When next time you are calling to that same method, that whatever machine code created for that particular method, it will be called. So in this case, the processing of the same method, it will be our. So it will give some performance increase in our Java application. Third one is adaptive execution engine. In adaptive execution engine, the compiler will identify which critical area, which particular area is taking the more time to execute the to convert that byte code into the machine code. It will find that exact that particular area, and it will convert into the machine code, and it will be stored into the particular address. When next time that critical area calls, that time it will import that machine code which is created for that particular section, and it will run the application. In previous I told you about the class loaders. I will explain I will explain the class loaders in detail. There are two types of class loader, as I told. One is user-defined class loader. Second one, bootstraps class loader. When we get the class file as an input to the class loader, bootstrap class loader is a part of JVM. When we are developing our JVM, that time we will develop the bootstrap class loader. It's up to that implementation team who is implementing the bootstrap class loader, in which method and which technology, which data structure they are using for the bootstrap class loader. User class loader, user-defined class loader. These are the class loader when you have Java application. When you are importing, when you are running the Java application, that time the instance of class loader, user-defined class loader will create. For every application, it will create a separate user class loader. Suppose in your system you have 4 Java applications running. For each application, you will create that user-defined class loader. What happens in user-defined class loaders? User-defined class loader, it will import all the. Suppose you have 8.java file. In 8.java files, you need some Java APIs. Java API is nothing but the runtime environment which needs to run your Java file or Java application successfully, and which will give the exact output as your expectation. So in user class loader, it will import all the necessary Java files, Java APIs, and the user defined class. While loading this, it will check the correctness of the imported class files. Means, if suppose you have a Java class file, in this Java class files you are importing some class from one user defined class loader, and second class you are importing from second user defined class loader. In that you have to maintain some. Suppose in your class, first class loader is importing the parent, same class should be import the parents of the given class. So these are the user defined class loader is defined by us, and when we are running the Java application, that time for every Java application the new instance of a user class defined loader will create. Now what is the Bootstrap class loader? Bootstrap class loader, when we are implementing our JVM, that time the developer will give the implementation for the Bootstrap class loader. What happens when Bootstrap class loader will look into our class paths, and suppose in our class path you have java.lang some class. So it will look into this path. It will fetch the library, fetch the directory where we have installed our Java application, and in Java application, according to relative path and absolute path, it will find the particular class and it will load that class into our application. So these are the main component of the JVM. So in last, I will while concluding, I will give the brief information about the JVM. JVM contains class loader. There are two types of class loader: user defined, and second one is Bootstrap. Second part is execution engine. There are three types of execution engine: simple one, just in compile, third one is adaptive. And the process of class loader, it will contain loading, linking, and initialization. These are the major features of a JVM and how JVM is created. If you have any doubt, you can post on our channel regarding your doubt. We will try to give the answers of your questions. Thank you.